Welcome to my creative space. Today I'm going to start the tutorial for the sleeveless hoodie pattern I call the Layer Up Hoodie. I'm going to be making the size small for this tutorial. If you want other sizes, they will be in the pattern on Etsy. So I'm going to get started with this pattern I've put together. I'm going to be casting on 82 stitches. And I'm going to reform the ribbing, but if you prefer to do it quick, go ahead and do a hung hem. I show how to do that in some of my other tutorials for like the Stash Buster cardigan if you want to check that out. Also, for this particular pattern, I'm not using any buttons. This is just a layered piece. It's not really made to button up, it's just made to throw on over. For like a cool morning, cool afternoon, in the fall, that kind of thing. If you want to do a button band, you can again watch my Stash Buster cardigan tutorial because I go over how I do a button band. Well, my gauge on this is 18 stitches and 20 rows for 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to start by making just a little slip knot and slide it on that last needle. And I'm just going to do a simple E-wrap cast on. And I want to make sure after I'm all cast on, threaded my carriage, that my knitting is pushed all the way back. I hang that clip on the tail. Gonna knit a couple of rows. And then hang plenty of weight. Then I am going to knit 10 rows at tension 5. And that's going to be my ribbing. I'm dropping every 3rd needle all the way across, and then I'm just going to reform those stitches for my ribbing. And I am grabbing 2 stitches at once here. It just makes it go a little bit faster, and I still think it looks good, so just saving a little bit of time. And I'm going to do that all the way across. After I do that, I'm going to change my tension to 7 and knit to row 84. Now on row 84, we're going to begin the armhole shaping. And this is what I do. You may know another way that you would prefer, and that's just fine so long as it gets shaped right. I am going to bind off here 3 stitches on my carriage side. Okay, so I'm going to pull those back now. Make sure they are out of work. We do not want to knit those anymore. Rethread my carriage. I'll remove this clip where I was woven my ends there. And now we're going to take it to the other side and do the same thing. And now I'm going to decrease on the left 3 stitches. And I'm just latching off, little latch bind off up through the stitch. Grab the yarn, pull through, up through the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through. And then I'm going to drop the stitch on the new stitch that's on the end and make sure those 3 are out of work. Rethread, back to the other side. Now this time we're only going to bind off 2 stitches. If that weight is pulling in a little too much. And this is so much easier when you're not trying to angle for the camera. It's always so, I always feel extra fidgety when when I've got the camera around. But you guys need to see this, so that's fine. Take those 2 needles out of the equation and drop this stitch on the new last needle. Put my weight back, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And now I'm just going to bind off or move a stitch on each side, and I'm going to do that 3 more times. In the pattern, this is all wrote down and might be easier to follow. If you don't have the pattern, you might want to take notes. And now I'm just going to work regular to 115. Okay, so I'm on row 115 now, and I'm going to begin the neck shaping. And what I want to do here is I want to take out from the center, I'm going to be taking out 14 needles on each side. So there's 5, 10, and 14, 5, 10, and 14. Okay, so that is going to be left alone. And I'm going to go ahead and put all these needles to the right and hold also. And we want to put our carriage in hold, which means from the lower level where it was set on a 2 on each side, so it would knit regular, we're going to put that on 1, the little 1 mark on each side, so we can hold. I'm going to be working each shoulder separately, keeping the center neckline in hold the whole time. You want to make sure that you also go all the way and trip your carriage so you can keep up with, you know, what you're doing here. It makes it easier. So I'm going to do a row, make sure I tripped that, and I am going to decrease 1 needle. And leave that out of work. Back over. And probably need to put some weight here. Don't want it throwing off. Sometimes it does that when you've got stuff in hold. Decrease again. Decrease again. And again. You should have 14 stitches still in work for this shoulder. So now we're just going to knit regular 1 time over, and now we're just gonna bind that off. And I'm just crochet cast off because this does not need to be stretchy. It just needs to have a nice finished seam so I can easily see sewing it together. Now that is done, and we can get that out of the way. Now we got to do the other side. We're just still in hold, and we are going to need to put these needles back in work. So again, we only want to keep 14 needles in hold, and the rest of them we're going to put back in work. So put them in that C position so they'll knit since we're on hold here. Make sure we got some weight underneath. So now LK likes some weight. Okay. Same thing. Gonna decrease. And my counter is definitely getting tripped here. Okay, so I should have 14 on this side too, and I do. So now I'm just going to knit one plain row, and I'm going to bind off just like I did on the other side. And now all we got to do is just bind off. And it's tied off at the end. Now I got my back. Now I need to start on the side panels.